Hi guys, this is Redwan Hasan. I'm very glad to see all of you participating in this free seminar organized by me and my friends. And I hope that this session would be very useful to you in terms of information as well as motivation regarding studying in Europe, right? Basically, the seminar is broken down into two parts. The first part, I'll be having a quick presentation about myself, my experience, and after that, we will have a one-on-one question and answer session. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask me and I'd be glad to help you out as much as I can. All right. Okay, so let's see. Let me share my screen. All right. Okay, can you guys see my screen? Okay, super. Okay, so again, welcome guys. Very pleased to see all of you here. Today's presentation again would be about information in European universities, right? And with that, I would also be willing to share a lot of information and experience regarding living in Europe and working here, studying here, and what lies ahead after your studies. So I have broken down this presentation into a couple of sections. So first section, I'll be talking about my own experience per se, my journey, where I began, how did I end up in Sweden, and then to Europe. And then I will be also talking about some tips and tricks, some advices that you guys can take away from here and hopefully start thinking about applying to Europe in the near future, right? So very first, I would be starting off discussing my journey. Okay, so question is who I am, because you don't know me. I'd be giving a very quick overview about myself. Where did I come from? How did I end up in Europe? And of course, what happened afterwards. So let's start off. So just like all of you, I was born and brought up in Bangladesh, and it was back in 90s, and I have a huge family in Bangladesh. My friends, my parents, my big relative family, everyone is in Bangladesh. And definitely, as I said, this is my beautiful motherland. I was born and brought up in this country. And then at the age of 7 or 8, I moved abroad with my parents. And then we moved straight to the Middle East. And we went to the United Arab Emirates, and we lived there for almost 10 to 11 years. So that is where basically I had my teenage years. I grew up going to school. I finished my schooling in Dubai. And then I also did my bachelor's from Dubai as well. In the meantime, in this 10 long years in the Middle East, I made a lot of friends, a lot of networks, also a lot of family friends as well. And it gave me a lot of experience about, really living abroad and how does it feel to, to living among people who are not the same, who are not Bangladeshis, for example. How do you interact with them, learn from them, work with them, etc. So being in the Middle East for 10 to 11 years, I then decided, okay, so it's time enough, and I would like to have a change, and I'd like to explore something else, go somewhere else and see what happens. I've had enough of the sand, and I've had enough of that 45 degrees Celsius all year round. And then I started applying to different places, and after a lot of applications, a lot of rejections, I finally found success in Sweden, and I moved up in the north, where I did my first master's degree, and I was also honored to have the Swedish Institute study scholarship, which was provided by the government of Sweden back in the days, and that basically made my doors to Europe open, and this was my first footstep into Europe, and the first country of my experience was Sweden. So as I've said, it's a pearl up in the north. It's a very beautiful country. I mean, no doubt. It's amazing. The people are fantastic. The food is nice. The only disadvantage is that it's a bit cold, right? So in winter it gets very cold, but in summer also it remains comparatively colder than southern countries. And yes, so Sweden was fantastic. I got a nice degree. I met some great friends. I did some work, and I finished my first master's degree in Sweden. And then when I was about to finish, like all of you, like all the other students, as an international student myself, I was looking for a job, right? So I was applying to different places. I applied to Sweden, and I also applied to other countries in Europe. So I was not just limited to Sweden. And after a lot of applications, a lot of rejections, and a lot of no's, I finally found a couple of interviews. I attended those interviews. It went well, and then I was offered a job, right? And yay, that was fantastic. And taking that job up, I moved to the very beautiful Switzerland. And this is my new home. And I've been in Switzerland for the past 3.5 years. And yes, I've came here with the work. I've finished my job. I then went to a language school. I learned French full time for 1 year, and then I moved to another city south of Switzerland called Lausanne. It's the French region, and I've been here since then. Switzerland, as you all know, it's a very touristic place, very beautiful, very calm and quiet, and yeah, on the professional side, has been fantastic. Personally, Sweden for me has been also very special, because this is also where I met my wife. We got married, and yeah, and it has become a new home. So yes, that's basically it. So this is my journey, where I came from Bangladesh, how I landed up in Switzerland. It has been a lot of countries in between, and this has overall given me a lot of exposure, a lot of experience with life, with people, with studies, with culture, and I hope to share that experience with all of you, and hopefully that benefits all of you as well. Right. So, having said that, I think a very quick overview about myself, the practicality, some information. So, as I've earlier mentioned, I'm currently doing a second master's degree in Switzerland, and it's in business analytics. And I'm also a teaching assistant at the University of Lausanne. Before, when I was in Sweden, I had my first master's degree. I had it in information systems, and I was also honored with the Swedish Institute study scholarship that really made it possible for me to go to Sweden and actually study there, because it's a very expensive country. And before that, in Dubai, I did my bachelor's degree in information technology, and I was also honored with a merit scholarship to make my education a bit more easier financially. And on the professional side, I've also had the opportunity to work with a couple of companies, couple of great companies, which gave me a lot of learning curve, and I could use that to really benefit myself. So, just an overview: I work with Roche Pharmaceuticals, one of the largest pharma companies in the world. It's headquartered in Basel, in Switzerland. I've also had the opportunity to work with MasterCard in Dubai, the payments company, and then in Sweden, I was also working as an ambassador, just like I'm doing now. I was promoting Sweden as a study destination, and I worked with Swedish Institute for 2 years. And then I also worked on a 6-month project with Nestle, which is headquartered here in Bevey, Switzerland. So this is basically about myself, who I am, and where I am right now. And thanks to all of these experiences, I could share this with you today. Now, moving on to the second part, which is, why are we here? The question is, why Europe, correct? You want to know about Europe. You want to know what is good, right? What is bad? And why should we even consider coming to Europe? So let me first give you a very quick overview about what are the benefits of coming to Europe, right? So first of all, it's definitely the quality of education, right? I can tell you that European universities are very high ranked, and if you look at the QS ranking, which was published like two, 3 days ago, you could see that in the top 500 or even the top 200, you will find a majority of the European universities. The reason is that normally the government of each country, they subsidize the education. as a result of which the education becomes a bit easier and accessible to anyone who wants to pursue a degree. As a result of which, everyone has the opportunity to get a good quality education, as a result, a good degree. So the quality of education also comes from law. So the education by law is obligatory. You have to study in Europe, and you cannot be someone without a degree. So as a result of which, you would normally find students or people that are 99% or 100% educated at least university level. So this is what is the most attractive part about Europe, is the quality of education. Second point is high living standard. So on a personal standpoint, I mean, when you look at different rankings around the globe, rankings that talk about, the most peaceful cities, the most clean city, the country with the best air quality, for example, you would see the top 10, top 15, all of them are European countries. All of them are European cities, apart from few of them. So this shows that, again, the government spends a lot of money behind ensuring a high living standard that ensures, for example, high life expectancy rate, and they give you all the services needed to have a good life in Europe. Then we have career prospects. So Europe has been a land of opportunities, quite contrast to what we know, for example, in America or UK. European companies or European countries boast a lot of global companies. And as a result of which, there are a lot of opportunities for you to do, for example, an internship to a PhD or even more. As a result, you are always, inside the loop of trying and looking for a job and possibly even ending up with one. For example, if I for example, skip the topic of getting a job. For example, you want to do a PhD, or you want to, for example, start a business. You have a great idea. Super, because a lot of European cities, for example, Berlin, Stockholm, these cities are known as startup capitals. So if you have an idea, you can always, contact these authorities and tell them, and they will always give you the infrastructure to start your own business. So overall, from business to research to job, you have all the opportunities in Europe. Then mobility. I think this is quite important, because by mobility, what I mean is being able to move, right? So when you are in Europe, you have the opportunity to move from one country to the other, of course, within the law, but you can always move to another country to do a semester. You can do an exchange program with another university. You can do an internship in another university. You can do a job in another country. For example, myself, I went to Sweden, right? I did my first master's. I got a job in Switzerland and I moved here. So you see, this mobility is one of the biggest benefits of Europe, and it gives you the opportunity to not just stick to one country, but also move around and look for opportunities elsewhere. So you are more likely to have a job or a PhD or a business in Europe than any other place. That's what mobility is all about. Fifth, we have the welfare system. So welfare system, by definition, is that the government really subsidizes and takes care of everything. So from education to healthcare to security to, I don't know, food and unemployment benefits, insurance, everything is financed by the government in most European countries. As a result of which, it makes it easier for you to settle down after you finish your studies. So you want to get a job, and if you end up getting a job or start a business, the government would take care of you, give you the opportunity to live here, ensure that your kids have an education, you have a good opportunity to live here, marry, pay taxes. So all of these benefits are included in the system. As a result of which, people are quite happy, and people have a good living standard. Finally, democracy. Well, by democracy, I don't mean it in a political sense, but democracy in the sense that you can really do what you want to do. For example, you can practice your own faith, right? You can eat what you want. You can wear what you want. Of course, has to be within the law, but you are free to do anything you want. You can be a Muslim, you can be a Hindu, a Christian, or even an atheist. It doesn't really matter here. People are not going to judge you, or the government is not going to judge you based on your beliefs or your ethnicity or your race. So you have the full freedom to do what you want and do it in the way that doesn't really obstruct or hamper someone else's life. If you do it that way, I think it is completely fine and everyone's happy with that. So as you can see, these couple of points really reinforce the idea of why Europe can be a great destination for studies and also in the future of settling down. Now, moving on, I would just like to give you some numbers at a glance because I know this can really benefit you and you could have questions. So I throw some figures in. For example, usually the range of semester fees if you want to study in Europe would be around €0, that is free tuition, to at least 10,000 euros. Again, this is not a concrete figure. Let me tell you that this is just a range that I gave just for you to get an idea of how much it could cost you to study. And of course, it depends from country to country. It depends from universities to universities. So this is a very big range. Then you have your living expenses from the very cheapest countries. I would say 300, 350, 400 to, for example, the maximum highest living standard could be 1,000, 1,200, something like that. So in this range, you could expect to cover your living expenses. But let me remind you that this also depends on the city you are in and your lifestyle. If you like to be someone who's a bit spendy, maybe it would be a bit more. But if you're someone, for example, who likes to be conservative, likes to cook at home, likes to not spend much, I think you could do it in much lesser. Then we have, for example, if you end up getting a part-time job, usually the payment per hour is between €8 to €25. I know for a fact that the minimum is 6 to 7 to €8, and the maximum is in Switzerland, it is €25. But again, Switzerland is very expensive, that's why. Then let's see, the bank balance. So normally when you go for visas, you would need to show money in your account so that you can ensure the authorities that you have the capacity to pay for your education and your living expenses. So again, it really depends from country to country, canton to canton, city to city. But normally, in my estimation, you could expect to show 8 lakhs to 20 lakhs per year to show in the bank account. It's not spending, but just showing. Then regarding IELTS, something very important, European universities do require IELTS because it is a sign of a very genuine student. So I would recommend all of you looking to go abroad to give your IELTS exam. It's not that hard. I mean, it's easy. You need to just be smart about it. Expect to get a 6 or 7, and then you will have entrance to most of the universities in Europe. Finally, scholarships. Yes, so you have a lot of scholarships in Europe, depending on the university, the level you're going to go, the country. There are some government scholarships as well. So it could range from say 10% to 100% or even more. Some scholarships even cover for your living expenses as well. So yes, so these are a few numbers. I hope they help you out to decide when you really want to come to Europe. Now, talking about Europe, I've given the benefits, right? I've spoken about things positively. So let's talk about things that are a bit negative about Europe to give you a very clear picture of what you are getting into. Say challenges. The first one is weather, definitely, because Europe is comparatively very colder than Bangladesh. And in winter, it can get really cold. If you go in the north, in the Scandinavian countries, for example, Norway, Sweden, it can touch -70, -20. So this could be a challenge in winter. But in the other year around, I think the temperature is very, very friendly, and you could really roam around, travel, see places that are really beautiful. So this is one challenge that you could face. Then you have language. So it's really a big barrier because European countries normally have distinct languages per country. Okay, so for example, let me tell you, in Sweden we speak Swedish. Okay. But when you learn Swedish, you would not be able to apply Swedish in other countries in Europe, except, say, for example, Finland, because Finland recognizes Swedish as a second official language. So these are the two countries you can speak Swedish in. But for example, in Germany, no. In Italy, no. So language could be a challenge. And my recommendation is that whenever you go to a country, try to learn the language. There are a lot of free courses that the universities provide. I would really recommend you get in, you get admitted, learn the language, practice. That gives you an opportunity to also secure a job and help you in your CV as well. All right. Then culture. I mean, this is not really a barrier, but I think I would like to point it out because the culture is very different in Europe than what we have in Bangladesh. And when you come here, I think you have to be mentally prepared to be able to mix and adapt to this culture. One small example could be that in Europe, you really call people by the first name. He can be a professor, he can be someone's grandmother, he can be your CEO, but you call them by their first name. That's how it is. But you don't think of doing that in Bangladesh, right? So there are some cultural shocks, cultural barriers, but I think once you are in the system, you would be able to really adapt with it. And finally, food. So food is not really a problem per se, but the European food is a bit dry, okay? And European people do not eat spice. Okay, let me tell you that they do not eat spice, except from few countries like Italy. People don't eat spice. And whenever you come here, for example, if you are cooking by yourself at home, I think that's perfectly fine because you will find everything from spices to meat to fish, everything. So no worries. My recommendation would be to really learn some cooking before you come. You can save a lot of money as well. All right. Great. Now moving on. Now I would like to speak from my experience. I would like to give you guys some advices that I think could really help you out. These are my personal realizations, and I hope that this really benefits you in the future. First of all, focus on studies. Okay. Why am I saying is that because there are a lot of students that I know who come to Europe, okay, on a student visa. They come to study, they pay the fees, they study for 6-7 months, they get a work permit, and then they go start working in a restaurant, in a petrol pump, something that is very odd, okay? And as a result, they don't finish the studies, and they really struggle later on in the life because they have problems with the work permit, they have problems with immigration authorities, they have problems with the police, and yeah. So my recommendation is to always think long term. All right. So when you come to Europe, always target to finish your studies. That should be your objective. Finish your studies, put in the hard work, get it done. And trust me, once you do it, you will have a lot of opportunities of settling down. As I've earlier mentioned, career opportunities, mobility, you can really benefit from all of these once you have that educational background, once you have that European degree with you. Okay, so always focus on your studies and don't think short term. You can work part time, of course, but that should not be your objective. Okay, that should not be your goal. Moving on, be flexible. What I mean by being flexible is that whenever you are studying in a country, okay, especially in Europe, I would really recommend that you keep your eyes open in other countries as well. For example, you are in Germany, you are doing, I don't know, electrical engineering, for example. Germany is a great place, but whenever you're looking for internships or, for example, you're looking for a job, look to other countries as well. Look to Netherlands, look to Sweden, look to Denmark, I don't know, look to France. Apply everywhere, try everywhere. Once you do that, then opportunities open up. So probably you would have, I don't know, 2 interviews out of 10 in Germany. By doing all of this now, you'd probably have 5 interviews out of 10, right? So that increases your chances of getting a job. And once you get a job in Europe, if someone likes to hire you, they will take care of your permit, they will take care of your accommodation, and you would easily be able to move to that country and settle down. So always, be open-minded and don't stick to one place. Always look to other places as well. Third, honesty is the best policy. I think you already know this is a very old proverb. In this context, what I mean by honesty is that be honest with yourself. Be honest with your objective, with your goal as to why are you coming to Europe. If your objective is to come here and work and settle down, get a career, super, stick to it, okay? If your objective is to study and go back to Bangladesh, fantastic, stick to it. But, always be honest with yourself and always be honest with people that are around you. That can be authorities, that can be friends, that can be, colleagues, that can be professors. Always be straightforward, because honesty is a very important quality that you would need to survive in Europe. Everything here is open. Everything here is accountable. People are responsible for their actions. So you need to be responsible for what you do as well. And if you can instill this quality in yourself, I really believe that you can survive really well and succeed really well within the European community. Okay. And finally, most importantly, don't give up. Okay. Failures are normal. What I mean by failures is that when you apply to Europe, it could happen that, okay, you applied to 5 universities, all of them rejected you. Okay, it could happen that you applied to 5 scholarships, all of them rejected you. It can happen. It has happened to me as well. I got rejected in scholarships, I got rejected in universities, but I still ended up coming. So the point is that, again, be flexible, be open-minded, and don't give up. If someone rejects you, that's fine. You try again, you give it a good shot, you try in a different way, speak to people who are already in Europe, get ideas, network with people. Once you keep doing that, you will find ways that you could not see before, and that could really motivate you to do better in the future. So stick to it. Be positive, because it is very important. And I tell you this because I have a particular picture for you, which is this. Boom. Right? So you're awesome, right? And awesome people don't give up. Okay? Awesome people are always positive. So be awesome. Yeah, be awesome. Be positive, and always live up to your dreams, live up to your qualities, and you always have the possibility of being successful wherever you go. All right? Now, quickly moving on. What can we do for you at BLC? I mean, me and my friends, we started this up, and what we could help you with is, of course, selecting universities, degrees, and country for you, depending on your interest, on your budget, on your, on your choice. And then we can also help you with the application of studies, scholarships, accommodations, and of course, helping you prepare for the visas, helping you out, training you, for example, in embassy interviews or interviews with admission departments, etc. And yeah, reading, preparing all your documentations and stuff like that. But also, we are very honest about what we do, and we would also like to say that, I mean, getting a visa is not in our control, right? Getting a job is not in our control. We can advise you, we can guide you, but at the end of the day, you are the one who will be facing the embassy, and hopefully you will be successful there. So that is something that we would like to really stress, because this is not our domain. Our domain is to prepare you and get you ready for the better world here in Europe. Okay. And that's about it, I believe. Yes. Thank you very much, guys. I hope you really enjoyed this very quick presentation. Now, what we would do is just talk about, your questions, any doubts that you have, and hopefully that could really motivate you to apply to Europe. Okay. So thank you. Thank you. Acha, Ami, just to be quickly, if I may tell you, you can have any questions. I mean, don't be shy. Okay, I'm a very open guy. You can ask me anything, personal, professional, is fine. But I would really recommend that try to be a bit precise with your question, right? So, like exactly what you want, what you are looking to know. You can have 5 questions, no problem. But being precise really helps me to answer the question correctly, and also helps the audience that are around you. So please go ahead, and if you have any questions, please come sit and talk to me. Farhan, can you please put the camera so that I can see the person I'm talking to? Thank you. না দেখা যাচ্ছে না হ্যাঁ দেখা যাচ্ছে all clear. Yes, go ahead. Sorry, can I first can you tell me your name and what you're doing right now, just to get an idea? Okay. Okay, good.
I need to complete a year of education here. Only then I can apply. So I had two universities in mind. One of them being the University of Munich. Other being 1 year here. Do I have any other requirements, like any specific levels grade that I need, or anything other than just 1 year specific, like 1 year completed here in my high school documents? Other than that, do I need anything else?
Right. So let me get it clear. So you are looking to transfer your credits, is that right?
Europe universities don't accept credit. Apparently, I have to complete 1 year university here. That removes the language barrier.
Okay. I see. Okay. So where did you get this information from? Did TUM tell you that, or that told you that? Okay. So you're looking to go for a bachelor's degree, is that right? To TUM. Okay. No, as far as I know, no. The only requirement would be that there is something called Uni Assist. Okay. There is a system that really verifies your background. Okay. So you did your high school, sorry, O levels and A levels. So we need to verify that first through that system. And that system, it tells or it converts your grades to basically the German system, right? So the German universities can compare your standing, your grades, comparison to their system. You see, so that is one of the requirements. You need to pass that assessment test. 1 year of exam, 1 year of 1 year of bachelor's. It's interesting because I was not aware of that, but from my experience, as long as you have IELTS, it's very easy. You don't need 1 year. If you have IELTS 6.57, you can easily walk in. You don't need to be in university for 1 year. That was my understanding. Okay. But if Dad has said that, I think it's good. But I would still recommend that doing your IELTS, because the embassy could be a problem, to be very honest with you, right? They want to be clear about the students that really want to go, and they want to be sure that, okay, this student is going to come and add to my economy. That's how it works. So if you are serious, and one of the sign of a serious student, as I've earlier mentioned, is that you do IELTS and you get it done. Given that you're from English medium, and I am from English medium as well, I studied in Maple Leaf. English, for us, is not a problem, to be honest with you. You just need to practice, a bit smart, and you would be able to pass the exam, right? So my recommendation would be do it, even you did 1 year of university, and then I hope there wouldn't be any sort of barrier, because then you are well ahead to get an admission. Okay, does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Super. Anything else?
Is there any specific time for the Uni Assist application?
I think Uni Assist application. No, I think my colleagues Farhan and Sadman can help you out with that. Just talk to them, and if you want to know, they would be able to tell you further with that. Okay. Okay. Good. I'm sorry, did anyone ask a question? I'd appreciate if you can sit in front of me. Yeah, thank you.
Hello.
Hi there. Hi.
My name is Samina Hussein, and I'm actually currently. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Clear. Go ahead.
So I'm a senior graphic designer currently, with a graduate degree of computer science from IUB.
Okay.
And I'm planning to go for a master's in either Norway or Sweden.
Right.
But most preferably Sweden. But I want to study a master's in a more of a different field, because since I'm working in I work in a magazine, right? And over there, so I was like thinking of pursuing this, like fine arts or maybe literature or maybe archaeology to like, you know, get more into history and culture.
Right.
To study at. So the thing is that I have 2 universities in mind that I really want to study. Right? For science, I would like to study in Chalmers.
Chalmers.
Sweden.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or Lund University in
Lund. Yeah.
But with I want to study in Lund, but there's just something that I have much concern is that the SISGP, the Sweden that gives the government scholarship, right?
Yeah.
I need to know what can I do to ensure that I can really get that scholarship to actually go study in Sweden. Because I'm very ambitious in what I do. So,
okay. That's good. That's good.
The thing is that I understand about settling abroad because I used to stay in Thailand before for my bachelor. So I know what it's like to deal with a new culture, adapting to a new culture, and the shock that the culture shock that you would talk about.
Yeah.
Although I didn't feel that much, but yeah. So I was like, I'm pretty ambitious in going there. So I just want to know what can I do to ensure that I can really get the scholarship. And I don't know what to expect in the interview when they ask me during the visa or something like that. So,
right. Okay, good. I think I think the question is clear to me. So first of all, congrats that you're very ambitious. That's nice. I like talking to ambitious people. And okay, talking about Sweden. Chalmers is a very technical university. Okay, it's CUT, right? Chalmers University of Technology. And Lund is a very well-renowned university. It is, I think, in the top 60, 70. I'm not wrong. I have to check the last rankings. But getting admission to Lund will be challenging with the SI scholarship. That is first. Because usually people prefer Lund when they apply to Sweden, and as a result, a high proportion of the SI applicants, okay, then apply for Lund because they are also applying for the scholarship, right? That makes sense. And then what happens? The competition is larger in Lund compared to other universities, okay? So that is one challenge that you may face. So I'm talking about the challenges first. Chalmers, I think, comparatively, I would say you have a better opportunity of going to Chalmers than Lund because the competition would be comparatively lower, in my opinion. Okay. Now, to ensure SI scholarship, I mean, I am myself a SI scholarship holder. I mean, and I couldn't ensure myself that I would get it, to be honest with you. Okay. So, I mean, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be challenging, and there are a lot of things that really factor in, you know, because first of all, from which country you come. So you're Bangladeshi, okay, and it depends on how many scholarships are they planning to allocate in the Bangladesh category, and that is a very government decision, right? We don't know unless they publish it. That is one. So we don't know if it's low or if it's high. It could change all the year, and it does change. Talking about just qualities, I would say that you need to have at least 2 years of experience, if I'm not wrong, to show that you have worked. And I believe that maybe you could show it as well. You have worked before, you told me, and that criteria fulfills. And second, you need to have a very good, very concrete motivation letter. Okay, and that is in the second step, not now. The first step is basically screening. So you apply, they would see, okay, you meet the 2 years of experience criteria, you made this. Okay, maybe this girl is fine. Let's take her to the next step. Next step, what happens is they will publish the motivation questions. You have to answer them, and that is the most crucial part of being or getting SI. Okay, so and it depends. The questions change usually all the year. My time when I had my question, they were different to what it was last year, for example, from what I've seen. So I mean. Yeah, that could be the two advice that I could give you, you know, and I think your English is very strong. So I believe that when you write your answers, when you answer to those questions in a motivation letter, you could always be very precise, concrete, tell them what you're looking for and why you're doing that. Okay. That would be my general advice. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
It is fine. I'm sorry if I interrupted.
No, it's fine.
The thing is that that's where I get very, very nervous whether I can really hit on the nail, you know, in terms of the motivational letter. It can be some pointers on how you got yours. be a good start for me.
Yeah, sure. I mean, but first of all, you gotta be ambitious like you are, and you have to keep trying. Okay. I mean, to be honest, there's no magic formula for this, because every person is different and they know it. So they would judge you as you are based on your profile. They're not going to compare you against another Samina, for example, or another Redwan. Okay. So it's really personalized, and they really read into you. They see what's your interest, what's your motivation, why Sweden, and all that stuff, right? So if you can show that up, bring it up, work on it, I think it can be done. I mean, if you are willing to, I don't know, I mean, I'm someone who also advises on scholarships. So if you're willing to, work with us in the future, I will personally, hopefully, I will personally mentor you as well when you prepare for your application scholarships. So that's down the line if you decide to be working with us. But I believe you do have the ingredients. You have you have a strong language. You have experience. You have education as well. So I think you already have a positive head start compared to a lot of students. That's all I can tell you.
Okay, because I really am trying to aim for learn because of the field that I work in. I've been working in learning for 6 years, but this has been my passion since I was a kid.
Right.
Since I was 11 years old. So I've been always learning different medias of software. So I really want to put it to use in terms of masters. So I don't know if I feel like Lurgia seems has the criteria that I actually want to go for. And Chalmers is only for because since I studied computer science in my bachelor's, it would help cater to more of the information system,
Correct.
For example.
Correct.
But Lund has information system as well. But I don't know. I just want to go for something that really meets my passion.
Of course.
I'm very passionate. I'm very ambitious to be different, and I really want to make a really great change into the world or something. I don't know.
That's great. I mean, no, of course, that's great. That's really appreciated. I mean, for Sweden, I mean, don't be confused about Lund or Chalmers. I mean, when you apply to Sweden, you can apply to 4 universities at a time. Okay, so you can pay 1 application fee, and you can apply to 4 universities. So I would even recommend choose 2 more. Why not? Choose 2 more, and we make 4 applications, and whichever comes, we'll take it. I mean, just do that. I mean, don't be confused about the 2. Go for both, right?
I will ask another question.
Yes.
Sorry if it sounds dumb.
No.
But the thing is that, what do you think would be my shot? Since given the criteria that I have, right? Like I said, bachelor's, and I have work experience, more than 6 years or something. Do you think I could have a good shot in going for this kind of scholarship? Do you think I'm pretty worthy enough? I don't know. I feel a bit low confident. That's why I had to ask.
Yeah. You remember my slide, right? You're awesome, right? So that basically answers the question, right? So there's no reason to be lowly motivated. You haven't even tried, right? So you try, and then you see. I mean, if it doesn't happen, okay, we'll try something else. There are a lot of scholarships in Europe, as I've said. If SI is really your passion, go for it. I mean, if you're working with us, we'll help you out. Definitely, I'll help you out when I mentor you with the scholarships, and fingers crossed. Hopefully, we'll get it done. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you very much. Bye bye.